If you are looking for a tool that helps you calm your emotions, heighten your emotions, get all that great energy of happiness, joy, playfulness, fun, if you want to take more action, if you want to stop doing actions and behaviors that are ruining your life and causing a lot of dysfunction, if you want to feel safer in this world, if you want to manage your thoughts more, watch this episode. This is the episode for you. Hey there, my friends, and welcome back to the Blooming Podcast. I'm Anabell Ingleton, and I'm your host. This week, we are taking care of business. What do I mean by that? I'm actually going to be sharing with you a framework that I've never shared publicly. This has typically only been reserved for my paid clients. I usually don't share a lot of my concepts and teaching frameworks publicly because I really do believe that it's for the clients that invest in coaching, and it's the people who invest in themselves that get like the best information. But there's lately it's really been on my heart. I really take direction from God. I'm really tuned into His voice, and I think I may have shared with this on the podcast earlier that a theme of His and with me late last year was this theme of invest and rest. And it's come up in so many times, in so many ways in my life, and it's applied in so many different ways. It's applied in my business to invest money so that I can rest more, right? Invest money to create systems, to hire staff, invest time in my family to do the right things and rest in other ways, invest in content, basically for consumption, right? For new viewers or people to find me, to learn things so that they can find out about these concepts that will help them. And this recently has just been like on my mind. And I know that if God gives me a download, it's because I need to follow it. And I'm obedient as heck. I am so obedient. And I was like, okay, Jesus, we all do it. I'm going to share it. So I'm going to be sharing with you guys a really, really foundational concept that I created that was influenced by many modalities that I've learned and trained in and studied. And it's a framework that I created for Bloom, for my coaching program, my signature core coaching program for women that help them remove hidden limiting beliefs so that they can take any action they want. It's something that I created that really helps clients do so many things. So I want to share with you, one, what the concept is, how it helps my clients, how it ties into the concept that I shared with you last week, which is how your internal system is created and how these schemas or limiting beliefs are created. This is kind of like a part 2, and how it can help you and what it's for. Like why did I create it? So let's get into it. So the taking care of business, the theme behind that is the concept that I'm sharing with you is called the self-organization model. It's the framework that I created to help my female clients, or just help my clients, period. It's not just for females, but Bloom is for women, right? Specifically. So I created it because I needed to create a visual and like a esoteric, or just I don't know what the word is, but just like an actual framework or a system or a model for them to use to understand their internal system. Because as you guys know, I help people understand themselves so that they can connect better to themselves, connect better with other people, and connect better to the beautiful things in this world, like abundance and safety and rest and joy and all the things and love. Oh my gosh, I love her. And then health. But the way that you do that is first by understanding yourself really well. But in order to understand yourself, you have to understand how you're made up, right? We already know you already know your physical body. You know that you have a brain and a heart and lungs and organs and skin and all that. We don't need to talk about the physical. But I want to talk to you about the mental, emotional, psychological, and spiritual features of you. And so I knew that in order to help my clients remove all these deep limiting beliefs that they've unfortunately learned and believed and then taken on into their life, that have created a lot of stuckness. It creates a lot of doubt and the most negative feelings and unfortunate circumstances in your life. These limiting beliefs make you settle for less. They make you experience a lot of stuckness and lack of movement, a lot of shame, a lot of fear, a lot of control, and no flexibility, no fun, no joy, just the most opposite feelings that we want to even feel in this world, right? And you have to understand why that happens. And so in the last episode, if you haven't listened to the last episode, go to the show notes below. I'm linking the episode here in the show notes. If you're watching this on YouTube, the link is down in the description, so you can watch last week's episode so you can understand this a little bit better. Because in order for you to get this, guys, please listen to the last week's first. Because otherwise I'm going to be saying things and you're going to be like, what the heck is she talking about? It's going to sound like Chinese. You're not going to get it. So listen to last week's, okay? And in order to just have the things in life that we want, we have to realize why we're not getting it. So you have to understand how your internal system is set up and why God made your brain and body so beautiful and intelligently smart, in the sense that it's self-healing. And when I say self, it's like God helps you, right? Because God created the body, so He was able to heal it. And why it got damaged. Why are some people really easily able to connect to love, to connect to happiness, to connect to playfulness and safety and abundance and money and health, right? And why are there some people that just aren't? Why are there bums in the street, homeless people, super unhealthy people, overweight, addicted, mean, hateful, just all these things? And there's a big reason why. And I'm going to explain in today's episode about that. But more than anything, what it comes down to is you're born perfect and things happen that change you, and then they disconnect you from yourself. They make you not want to connect with other people, and therefore you aren't able to connect to all the abundance in the world. And that's health and money and love, okay? So the self-organization model was basically created out of that. I have trained and learned and researched so many amazing modalities, like psychological healing modalities, mindset stuff, a lot of different things. And out of all the things that I've learned, I took bits and pieces from everything and created the self-organization model. So what is the self-organization model? So the self-organization model is basically like an outline, a framework that lets you understand all the different parts of you. So when I say parts, again, listen to last week's episode if you don't know what I'm talking about. You have to know what last week's episode is about so you can understand this, okay? All these different parts of you, and how all these different parts of you, and I would say that you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 really distinctive parts in your self-organization, in your psyche, okay, that make up all these different amazing parts of you, and how they work together, and how life looks if they're working really well together, and how life looks if they're not working really well together. Spoiler alert, if your internal system doesn't work well, life sucks. You feel like crap. And if it's working really well together, you get abundance and love and health and money and it's just everything, all the good stuff. Every beautiful thing that you could ever want, you get every single desire of your heart. And if it's not working well, you get crap and you get stuckness and you settle and you get pain and you get every negative emotion ever. So the self-organization model kind of explains your internal system and how that looks. And when you know what your internal system looks like, think of it like an organization. So this is a little bit of a backstory and how this was came to me one day when I was creating Bloom last summer, my coaching program. I went to college for business. I was minoring in psychology, and I had a major in business, specifically organizational leadership. So leadership in business. And it's no surprise that, because I was so focused on I was really interested in, when I was in school, on how I wanted to work with businesses or big organizations and help them create a really happy culture and make it to where work was really enjoyable and it was safe and it was fun and it was profitable, and it was profitable for the owners and profitable for shareholders and profitable for employees. And that was my goal. That was my focus. So it's that education. It's funny. I thought about it the other day. I was before I created Bloom, but I was thinking about it when I was creating the outline for this podcast episode. Was I thought that I had never really used any of the knowledge and education that I learned at private university, but it turns out I did, because it really influenced my coaching, and specifically this framework, the self-organization model, because I used so many concepts about business to teach your internal system and how your brain and body work and how you can have all the amazing things in your life if your organization works really well together. So I think it's really fun. When I was thinking back about it, I'm like, oh wow, my education did actually help me in my coaching business, because I used to think it didn't, but it really, really did. It informed a lot of how I teach. I'm really inspired by big companies that work really well together and that are really profitable. And when I think of companies that work really well together or just really successful, it's because a company is made up of all kinds of different departments. And when each department works individually really well and then collectively as a whole, they create this really complex thing called a business. They provide a really great service for the world or a really great product for the world that helps the world. And therefore they help themselves and they make a profit and they have paid employees and happy shareholders and, all the things. Well, this is what your internal system is like. There's 5 different parts to your internal system, your self-organization. And I want you to think of yourself as a business. You are in the business of you. You are an organization itself. And I was very inspired by systems theory. And this theory called this aspect or this thing called differentiation. I was inspired by internal family systems, Richard Schwartz and his work with internal family systems therapy, Dr. Daniel Siegel, who's one of my mentors, and he is a creator of interpersonal neurobiology and that type of therapy, as well as coherence coaching or coherence therapy, and Dr. Bruce Ecker. I've studied, researched, and trained with them and learned so much. And through all of their influences, and as well as systems theory, which is like a mathematical theory, I've used all of these things and created the self-organization model. So I can teach you now publicly, which I'm so excited about, and also teach my paid clients how they can learn this concept about their internal system and how you can use it to do really, really important things. Manage your emotions. So calm yourself down and also heighten your emotions. So it's going from like fear, anger, anxiety, and calming yourself down to calm and to peace. But then it's also like taking yourself from that stuckness and maybe sadness, depression, or just like apathy, nothing, and moving yourself up to a more heightened emotional state. So it's not just, I don't want you guys to think that it's just about emotional management isn't just calming yourself down. Some people don't ever even get to those heightened aggressive, fearful emotions, but some people are really low on the polyvagal theory and they're in stuckness and they're like in really sad depression or just no movement. It's about getting yourself up. So the self-organization model, first and foremost, teaches you how to regulate your emotions, manage your emotions, get yourself up the scale and get you to those heightened happy emotions and feeling safety, as well as allowing you and teaching you how to manage your emotions and calm yourself down if you're really in the heightened anger, fear, anxiety, nervous type of emotions. So that's the first one. The other thing that the self-organization model helps my clients with, and then hopefully you today, is how to take action, how to actually move towards the things you want. I have found that 99% of the women that come to work with me or clients that have ever worked with me, their biggest issue is, I know what I want to do and I can't do it. I know what I should stop doing and I can't stop doing it. What the heck? It's like this stuckness. I can't move towards the thing I want, or I'm doing the wrong thing completely and it's creating a lot of havoc in my life and a lot of dysfunction. So it's about the self-organization model with this framework, allows you to take action towards the things that you actually want to take action towards. Not coping, not settling, not getting stuck, not procrastinating. It's really about doing the things that are moving the needle towards the results that you consciously want in your life. So that's the other thing that the model helps you with. The third one is managing the thoughts that you have. Thoughts are a symptom of your internal system. So the thoughts that you have are a result of who you are. And so if you want healthy thoughts, if you want to have better thoughts, if you want to have supportive thoughts, if you don't want to have the inner critic and like loud negative thoughts, it's really about managing your internal system to say, why am I even having these thoughts? Because once you fix the root cause, you have a better effect, which is thoughts. So this self-organization model helps my clients and can help you manage your thoughts and have better quality thoughts and more supportive thoughts. So that's the third thing. And then it's also the last, and I think one of my most favorite things is change your predictions about the world. A lot of people don't realize that they have this mindset or this like pessimistic or really negative mindset about the world. They predict a lot of bad things happening. I'm not going to talk to her because if I talk to her, she's going to say this. I'm not going to do that because if I do that, this might happen, or it's not going to work for me, or things like this always happen. And because you believe all these you have these negative predictions or perceptions or anticipations or assumptions about the world, people don't realize it, but when you have those belief systems or these predictions, that's what ends up happening. So we really want to get down to the bottom and say, why am I even having all these predictions? And it really has to do with your self-organization. So if these are things that you've suffered with, not being able to calm yourself down, not being able to get those heightened, really great, happy emotions, not being able to take action towards the things you want, not being able to stop taking action on things that are really bad and giving you like negative consequences. If you find yourself not being able to manage your thoughts, or the thoughts in your mind are just negative and you believe them and they just they just push you down like a deeper hole. And if you notice that you have these negative predictions about the world all the time, like you just think the world isn't safe, you think people are mean, you think people are going to hurt you, you think bad things happen, you think nothing good happens for you, you want to listen to this podcast episode. You want to watch this video. It is going to be so helpful, but it's really first about understanding why that happens. And when you understand why things are happening, then you can understand how to stop them from happening. Okay. So this is like really, really, you guys are like, if you've listened to me before, and you've learned some of the concepts that I teach, this is like the best one ever, guys. I'm really, really serious. The coaching program is even better, but this is like the best free content I think I've ever shared. Okay. So take notes. When you're listening to this, listen to this a couple times so you don't miss any of the concepts. There's actually a PDF that is accompanying this podcast episode. So if you want to see the PDF so you can see the diagram of the self-organization model, click the link below so you can grab it. It's free, totally free. And then if you're listening to this on the audio podcast, then just look at the show notes and the link is down there below. All right. So first I want to really point out why this concept is important for you to learn. And really it's because when you have to learn how to take care of yourself first. And when you learn how to take care of yourself, you can then take care of other people and you can understand others better. And when you can understand others better, your relationships will be better, which you will feel even better because they'll support you, you'll support them. And then you can have that support that every person needs in order to go out and live out your purpose in whatever way it is, whether you're a stay-at-home mom, you're an employee, you're an entrepreneur, whatever it is. But you need to start with you first. And your internal organization is set up in such a way that if it's healthy and all the different parts or departments in the organization are running really well, independent of each other, they work really well collectively and they create complexity. And that's like the whole is greater than the sum of its parts type of thing I've talked about before, then you will have health and wellness and thriving. Okay. You're going to thrive in life. So, and it's kind of like mental health, mental fitness, right? You're going to have mental strength and emotional strength. So that's why it's important to understand it. What I hope this does for you watching this podcast episode is that you learn why you've been having the thoughts you have, why you've been learning why you have certain types of behaviors, why you haven't been able to do certain things and why you have been able to. And you guys, I've covered this before. I have a podcast episode called The Internal System, but I was explaining internal family systems. This is my take on many other modalities. And then I've created this for myself. So the reason it was important too, another reason that I created this is just because I knew that I was going to be working with a lot of women and people that have never done any type of therapy or coaching or healing or anything like self-development before in their life. Sometimes a lot of people come to me and they're like, dude, I'm just like so stuck, I need help. And so they've never done any kind of introspection and they don't know themselves or their past or what they want or anything. So I was like, how am I going to explain that you have all these internal parts and without freaking somebody out, right? And I have to say, I'm really proud of the fact that I have women that jump into Bloom and within a month are making huge changes. I'm going to have some of these people on the podcast to share their stories, because I mean, within a month of them just learning, just understanding their self-organization and then what to do with it, it is created so much transformation, so much emotional control, so much behavioral control, so much thought control. And they're like, how does not everybody know this? And I'm like, you know what? People need to know this. I need to stop holding it hostage and only making it available to people that work with me, because you can learn this concept and you can, based on it, hopefully you can do a lot with it. But I want you to know too that if you work with me in Bloom, I teach you how to actually function and use your internal system to do everything you want. So it's a lot more in detailed in Bloom. But this is why it's important, because you need to know why you're doing what you're doing, why you're not doing what you're doing. So it's really this foundational concept that when you know yourself, the world changes. And let's be honest, some of you have not taken the time to know yourself. You even looking in the mirror for some of you is really hard. Like, just when someone tells you something about you to you and they say, hey, like, Julie, why are you did this thing the other day and it really sucked. You don't even want to hear it because you don't want to look at yourself. And it's not lost on me that that's a little hard, but you can't change something you don't know is happening. You need information, you need data in order to make decisions. And so this model is going to give you so much amazing data about yourself so that you can understand why things are happening and stop them from happening if you don't like the result that they're giving you. Because trust me, for many of you, that is happening, okay? What I believe is that whatever feels difficult externally in the world, whatever feels hard to do in the world, usually it's because it's hard for you to do internally. And I know that may sound weird. You're like, I don't have a job. Like, it's hard for me to work, but I don't have a job internally. You actually do. And I'm gonna explain why that is. Like, for example, I'm gonna give you a quick example and then we're gonna go into the framework. I had a client who recently told me, I find it really hard, specifically at work. She was talking about her work, that she found it really difficult to set boundaries with her coworkers. She's like, I could be with a client, and she worked at a school, and she's like, people would just come in my office, come in my classroom, and just barge in, and they just interrupt me, and then I get off track with my clients, and it doesn't feel good, and I don't know how to stop them, and I don't know how to set the boundaries, and it was creating a lot of issues at her work because she wasn't being as productive as she could because she was getting interrupted so much. And she didn't know how to have these boundaries, say yes, say no, say later to her coworkers or her boss. And it was affecting her quality of life at work. She started like resenting it and not liking it. But it was very similar to the way she was with her internal system. She didn't know how to prioritize or have internal boundaries. And believe it or not, you have internal boundaries. And it was completely the same. I remember I helped her see, like, listen, notice how you can't have boundaries outside. It's because you don't know how to have boundaries with your own parts. And when you have a thought, you just believe it instead of stopping and questioning, why am I having this thought? A part of me just showed me something about myself. She didn't know how to manage it, and she would just like run away from it or just never talk to her internal system. And the same way that she related to herself is the exact same way she related to other people. And I'm telling you that if you don't know how to talk with yourself, hear your thoughts, feel your emotions, you will have a really hard time connecting to other people in the world. Your relationships will be very uncomfortable. They'll be negative. They will be painful. They will be insecure. They will be unsafe. You will have resentment. You'll have anger. You will have so many negative experiences in your relationships. That's the effect of not being able to do this with yourself. So I hope that makes sense. And this is why once she understood that, and I explained to her, look at what's going on with your internal system, what's going on with your self-organization. She was able to see that. And the moment she got that clarity, I promise you guys, she's like a different person. I've noticed a change just within a week. I'm like, what happened? But she was able to have the awareness of what she was doing internally, completely changed her external life, completely. And so this is why it's so beneficial. It's a lot less scary to set a boundary with somebody externally in your life, at work, in a relationship, with your kids, with your parents, with your family, with your friends. It's a lot easier and a lot less scary to do it when you know how to set boundaries with yourself. when you can set these internal boundaries, meaning priorities. I have all these desires. I want to do this. I want to have fun. I want to party. I want to go to work. I want to make a lot of money, but I want to rest, but I want to work out, but I want to make $1 million, but I want to only work 5 hours a day. Listen, you can have every single one of those things, but you need to have internal prioritization and leadership internally so that you can know, I can have all of them, because you can have everything that you desire. Things just need to be prioritized, and there needs to be internal boundaries that you set for yourself. Like, I'm going to do this first. I'm going to schedule this. And notice, if you're somebody that doesn't schedule your time well, that doesn't keep your promises to yourself, that doesn't know how to manage your quote unquote time, which is a false, that's a lie. It's not about managing time. Time is a fixed resource. You can't manage time. You manage yourself with the time you have, which is 24 hours in a day. So if this is difficult for you, this is the episode for you. Like, watch it, click, do not miss it. Because whatever you find to manage externally, it's almost 100% aligned or because of your lack of ability to prioritize yourself internally. Okay. So if this rings true for you, keep watching, keep listening. So let's talk about it. The self-organization model. So what is the self-organization model? So the self-organization model is what I want you to look at: your internal system, your internal psyche, your mind, your spirit, your thoughts, like your subconscious, whatever you want to call it, your emotions. It's this part of you psychologically that is created in order to keep you safe. Why does your psyche keep you safe? Well, your psyche and your mind and your emotions, your soul, your spirit are comprised of all of your past experiences, your memories, your thoughts, your beliefs, all these things. They all are a part of you, and they help you. They basically make up your personality, your personal reality, right? What you've experienced. And I want you to think of it like it's there to keep you safe, because we go through this world connecting with other people. We have self-connection. We have a relationship with ourselves. Whether you believe it or not, but you do. You have a relationship with yourself, and you can't go through this world without having relationships with other people. Whether they're surface or deep, you have relationships with people. You have a relationship with your internet company, right? You guys have a contract and you guys work together. It's a business relationship, but a relationship nonetheless, right? You have a relationship with your kids, with your partner, with your girlfriends, with your boyfriends, with your dating, all the people you date, with your employees, with your coworkers, with your boss, with the food you eat, with your home, with your bills, with your money. You have relationships with everything, meaning these are things that you come in contact with and you connect with them in some way. So I want you to think of everything as a relationship. I have a relationship with my business, with my clients, with my contractors that I work with my employees, with my body, with my children, everything, right? And because we have these connections with people, sometimes they end. And sometimes the end of these connections affect us psychologically. Not sometimes, they all do. If they last forever and they're good or bad, they have ups and downs, these relationships and these connections affect you in some way, okay? Energetically, emotionally, mentally, psychologically, they affect you. And if they're going good, it makes you feel good. If they're stuck in a rut, if you're angry, you have ruptures, you have some type of fights, infidelity, betrayal, whatever, those affect you too. And our relationships cause issues internally in our mind and the way we feel. And if they're not, so the way that our relationships keep you safe or not is if you have a lot of relationships that are really unhealthy and you're constantly getting abused, traumatized, cheated on, yelled at, shamed, judged, criticized, not supported. No one's holding space for you. No one's attuning to your pain. No one's encouraging you. No one's supporting you. Those things affect how you see yourself, how you see the world, how you see other people. And you have to have safe and good, healthy relationships, or you will start having these negative predictions about the world, and you'll have behaviors that you create in order to adapt to an unsafe world. You will have these experiences will have you have thoughts and beliefs about yourself based on these experiences. And they can create a lot of coping mechanisms. They create a lot of, they're called maladaptive behaviors that you need to use in order to survive in a world that's really unsafe. For example, your parents get divorced. Now you have two homes. Now you have to split up as a little kid. split up the way that you see dad's house and mom's house, the way the lifestyle is at dad's and the way the lifestyle is with mom's, and kids have to integrate both of those and then see what dad exposes them to and what mom exposes them to. What if dad goes to church and mom never reads the Bible and could never care less about church, right? What if dad is a partier and leaves him at babysitters all weekend long, and the mom is like this really great Christian and a homemaker and stays at home? It's like so different. And these relationships affect how you feel about yourself, how you feel about who you are. Your relationships create the way people see you and feel about you is the way you will then, believe it or not, see yourself and how you will feel about yourself. So if you've heard me talk about this before, our relationships with our parents and our childhoods are so, so important, because if they're not healthy and they're not supportive and encouraging and kind, we will feel that way. We will feel that way about ourselves and feel that way about the world. Like, I'm not lovable. I'm not worth someone spending time with me. I'm not worth somebody listening to me. And we need safe relationships in order to feel safe in the world, in order to thrive in the world. And so our psyche, what it does is, if you have unhealthy relationships and connections with people, what it does is it will create this beautiful self-protective mechanism to bring you to homeostasis. Like, I know I just said like 10 weird things right there, right? Like, it creates these beliefs about the world because like, let's say you're a 1-year-old or a 3-year-old and your mom and dad are abusive drug dealers, gangbangers that do drugs, drink a lot of alcohol, don't have jobs, live off the system, steal, lie, cheat, abuse each other, and then abuse you too as a little kid. Well, as a 3-year-old, you can't take care of yourself in the world, and you need your parents to take care of you. And what the psyche does that's so freaking amazing is that when you have a home that isn't safe, or parents specifically that aren't safe, a home environment, caretakers, and a 3-year-old can't leave the house and go take care of itself. It will die. It'll get hit by a car. Doesn't know how to walk. It doesn't know how to change itself, go to the bathroom, anything, right? Let's just say. And it will die. And so God made the brain so amazing that in order for this child to stay in a home that isn't safe, what it does is it creates this belief that it'll make a child believe, well, mom and dad aren't bad. They're just weird and they're the way they are. So how do I adapt to this situation that's like not safe? Okay, I just gotta stay in my room. I just gotta stay quiet. I gotta not ask for things because there's never any money. I can't upset them when they're drunk or when they're high or when they're on cocaine. And what the child does is it says, my world isn't like, my parents aren't bad, but there must be something wrong with me that makes it so that my mom and dad don't want to take care of me. And that's what happens to the psyche, is it creates this like breakdown or this like justification for your parents being the way they are. And instead of us blaming our parents, we say, they're fine. I need to stay here. I just need to adapt. And we do all these things to adapt. But then what it does is it makes you believe, or a part of you believe, there's something wrong with me if my mom and dad won't take care of me or love me or do all the things that I need, like feed me and give me a bath and take me to school and do all these things. So what that does now is, now you have this really big belief about, if it starts with your parents, but then imagine going through life believing people don't take care of me. People aren't going to be there for me. I need to be quiet in order to live in this world. I need to not ask for anything. I need to just not make a request for a need. And if that's how I get along, that's how I'm able to get by in this world and surviving, make and eat and just barely survive, then that's what I'm going to do. And the mind God made the mind so amazing, the psyche, that he made it to where you'll believe this now. And it creates that fragmentation that I talked about in the last episode. Again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go listen to it. It creates this part of you that fragments and says, like, my 3-year-old part now believes that she needs to be quiet and she needs to not ask for anything. She needs to just hide in her room. She needs to be alone. She believes that the world isn't safe. And this part of you now becomes this like part of you that didn't get a lot of its needs met. And it becomes this very wounded part of you, this part that needs love and attention and support and food and basic respect and care. And what that does, that happens. And that happens in so many instances, maybe not that extreme, right? Maybe you didn't grow up with parents like that. I know some people that did, but maybe you just had parents that worked a lot. Maybe you just had parents that were immigrants and they were really poor. Maybe you had parents that were really rich and great and give you everything, but they never talked to you. You lived with a nanny most of your life. So there's different levels to this disconnection from our parents, so to speak, but then all through our relationships in life. But our relationships, our connections with the world create all these different parts of you. And it's these disconnections that create all these what I would call wounded parts, or parts of you that carry the burden of shame, fear, loneliness, sadness, anger. Those are like the main, just the main ones that come off the top of my head, but like you can think of so many for you, right? So they create, let's say that little girl, let's say this little girl, that 3-year-old that I'm talking about, it created like loneliness and sadness and shame and fear. And those were the things that she needed. Like she needed time with her parents and love and food and basic stuff. So now this is a part of her. And now let's say this happens your entire life. Breakups happen, relationships happen, you move, people die, all these things. And now you have lots of different parts of you that experience a lot of disconnection, a lot of wounding, a lot of emotional pain from someone or something. This can even happen in a business, right? You're connected to your business. And if there's failure there, that can cause some type of pain in you, right? So the brain has made it. God made the mind and the brain so beautiful where he said, I'm going to make you, whenever there's pain, like you kind of like break off, like you're whole, but these pieces kind of break off of you. And I call it like you're like this puzzle piece or different puzzle pieces, but you're a big puzzle, you're whole, but disconnection creates disconnection within you. And now you're fragmented with all these dozens of puzzle pieces. And the goal of life is to have all these puzzle pieces because things happen in life. They're supposed to. God didn't promise us not to go without pain. He said, I'm promising you eternal life and grace through me, but I didn't say things were going to be perfect. You are going to fail and you're going to have loss and you're going to have unhappiness, but with me, you can trust that I'm always going to be there, right? And your internal system is kind of like that. Like you're supposed to be whole. Relationships and things happen that create this fragmentation, but ideally you should be able to know all these little puzzle pieces and kind of keep them in a bag. A healthy organization knows all of its departments, all its pieces, all of its employees, and everything serves a purpose, and it all went through something for a reason. And collectively, when you know all these things about you and you understand why they happen, and there's logical and emotional sense about why the things happened, and that some of them were your fault because we're human and we make mistakes. Some of them were other people's fault because they're human and they make mistakes. Some of it was like crazy trauma and like lineage and generational stuff because again, it follows generations. But all of that to say that we have all these experiences, but you understand them as a whole. And if you know all the different parts in your system, you're able to thrive because in spite of all of them or because of them, collectively you gain the wisdom from them, you gain to learn behavior, you gain lessons, you know what to do, what not to do, and everything's very like in place. It's coherent, meaning it all lines up. This caused this and this caused that and that caused that. And this is the way I am. And we're not stuck in any one of these parts of us. That was a really long explanation, but so sorry. I had to explain it that way. But I hope that makes sense. And it makes up your self-organization. You have these wounded parts of you, these parts that experience a lot of pain or disconnection, which I call your employees or your team members, okay? These are the parts of you that carry a burden. And I want you to think of them as like the organization. These are the employees that come from like Trauma Inc. is what I tell my Bloom members. They came from the past. They came from Past Inc. And they have their habits going into this new business, which is you. You're trying to lead it into be a healthy organization, but then you have these parts of you that are like, well, I learned this from when I was 5 or from my other job or whatever. Let's just say, but you're like, no. That's great that you learned that, but in this healthy organization that we're trying to create, we don't need to do that. But you're able to see that. Your employees or your team members carry these burdens, and it's usually like stories of the past. They're very specific. They carry outdated information. So information from the past, okay? It's out of context. So this may have happened at work, and now they're trying to use something that happened at work in your romantic relationship or your marriage. Okay, they'll be like, this thing happened, when I was at my job when I was 20. So because it happened at my job when I was 20, I can't marry this guy. It was like, whoa. That doesn't make sense. We can't use that. So it's out of date, it's out of context, and it's out of fear. Our wounded parts never want to feel the pain that they experienced before, and they're scared of ever feeling it again. And so everything that they do is out of this fear of never experiencing that pain again. And so I want you to think of some big experiences that maybe you've had that created pain and fear and an experience that wasn't fun and that you never want to experience again. And it informs a lot of what you do today, because you're like, that sucks so bad. Oh my God, when I was in the talent show and everybody stayed quiet and then I got booed, sucks so much. Oh my gosh. I never want to go live on Instagram now, right? So think of the bottom level of the organization is your team members, is your employees or your exiles, what like internal family systems call. And there are these parts of you that carry pain from a past experience that hurt them. And they're almost always like shame, sadness, loneliness, depression, anger, fear. Those are the feelings typically that these employees carry, okay? And they're out of date. Remember, they have information that's out of date from the past. It's out of context. They always want to give you information out of context, and they work out of fear. So think of like out of context. You don't want to use information, again, from work. Like when I did this project, it didn't work, so we can't marry this guy, right? It's like, no, it's not applicable, because if that's work and this is relationships, like they're so different. So you always want to know, like, where did this part of me get this information, and does it align? No. Not only is it old, outdated information, but it doesn't work here. It's like saying, I need to send this document, this paper to my friend who needs this book. I need to send this page in this book. It was so good. They need to hear it. They need to read it. Where's the fax machine? You guys, it's 2023. Who uses fax machines? I mean, listen, I'm sure there's people who do, but like, I don't know any. And it's like a part of you saying, we got a fax. And it's like, let's go buy a fax. And it's like, wait. It's 2023 now. We used to fax in like 2000, but we don't need to do that anymore. We could take a picture with our cell phone and make it, like, literally send the image to somebody and they could have it. So it's out of context because it's out of date, because it's like an old thing, right? Like they want to use an old tool or an old method, but and it's out of date. It's like the technology now is so different, right? So you always want to make sure, like, internally, what information are you using? What tools, what resources, what context was it created in? And am I using it correctly? So you can see how the parts of you that experience pain, it's really important that you understand how and why they're using it, because you can be using this information totally incorrectly. It's like, I want to eat some soup, right? And you want to eat some soup and you have it in this great little plastic container that you got at Costco. Costco has this bomb tortilla soup. Have you guys ever had it? And it comes in like this plastic Tupperware, like not even Tupperware, but it's like this cool plastic little container. And it's like, I want to eat the soup. Oh my God, where's the can opener? Like, I want to eat and I want to eat soup, but this soup in this container doesn't need a can opener, right? I'm using the wrong tool. I'm using the wrong thing, completely out of context, right? Like, this thing actually needs what? What other tool will it need? It needs a microwave, or it needs a stove. I can pour this in a pot and I can cook it, right? So it's so important to use the right tool in the right place. I wouldn't use a spoon to open a can of soup the same way that I wouldn't use a can opener to open up just like a plastic lid of soup to eat it. It's very different, right? You want to use the right tools in the right way, the right place at the right time, and for the right reasons, right? So that's the first level of self-organization. So if you're looking at the PDF while you're watching this, or if you haven't looked at it yet, you'll see that the bottom level of the model is employees. And I say they're your overworked team members. They're parts of you that are like just tired because of the pain they felt. Yeah. The level above them is your managers. So these are your protective parts. These are the wonderful, wonderful things that your psyche has created in order to protect these wounded parts of you, or these overworked, burdened parts of you. And there's two types of protectors. There's future focused protectors and there's present moment protectors. Sorry, I got tongue-tied. And there's two types of managers. We call them firefighters or managers. So like regular managers and firefighters. The firefighters are present moment focused, and they got to put the fire out now. There is something on fire. We got to put it out. And then your managers are very future focused, and they're proactive. They want to avoid pain from happening. So they don't want anything to happen in the future. And so they don't want pain to happen in the future. So they're always thinking proactively. Whereas your firefighter managers, your protective parts, are very present moment, and they got to put the fire out that you have now, the pain that you have now. And let's talk about your firefighters. Your firefighter protector is like this part of you that's present moment focused. It needs to put out your pain right now. And what it's focused on is soothing you, distracting you, or numbing you. That's the only method that it has to take away pain from you. And the pain, I want you guys to think about it. The pain it's thinking of is like, it's your wounded parts. Your part gets activated and it's in pain. It's like, how do I get this part to calm down? Managers serve a purpose, right? Managers watch over their teams, the employees. And so if you think of these managers, they're jacked up managers. They mean well. Their intention is so good. It's to help the team, but their way of doing it is so unhealthy. Because again, it's still out of fear, and the way that they do handle pain is not healthy. So firefighters want to numb you, distract you, or soothe you. They numb you with like drugs, alcohol, food, sex, right? These are some ways to just numb you out. The internet, like you'll just think of like it just quiets down the emotion. If you smoke weed, your pain is numbed out, right? You're not going to feel it anymore, right? Food sometimes does that. It's like, oh, I ate a bag of popcorn, feel better. Take a shot of whiskey. I don't know. Do people take shots of whiskey? I don't know. Maybe they do. Tequila. So they'll numb you that way. They'll distract you. Oh, let's just go open Instagram. Let's just go see what other people are doing. Let's just watch Netflix, right? So that's how they distract you. Let's do something else. And they want to soothe you, and they could soothe you in so many different ways. You can get soothed with, again, a movie, sex, lots of different things. But notice, these are all ways to get rid of pain right now. And one of the ways to distract you too is like, look at what they're doing. Let's compare. It's not that bad, you know? So those are your firefighter parts. Protective, they want to help you. They want to help those wounded parts of you, but they do it in really bad ways. It's always just coping mechanisms, even high level coping mechanisms. Let's always do breath work just to calm ourselves down, right? Instead of like understanding what's going on internally, like just breath work, which is a good practice, but breath work should be, that's another episode. We'll talk about that later. But okay, so let's talk about managers, because this thing's going to go long. Oh my gosh, how long have we been recording? Let's see. Can I tell? Good Lord, this is going to be forever. And then, so your managers are very, they're future focused and they're proactive. They want to stop pain from happening. But the way they do that is by getting you to perform, produce, and please others. So it's about performing and looking the part and acting like everything's great and just putting on a show and just like putting on a smile and everything's great. You're performing. I'm successful. I have money. This is what I am. Yeah. Perform. Dance. Put on a show. Producing. I produce work. I produce money. I produce a job. I clean. I just do. It's hustly. It's just doing. And the other way that they help you, I think that they'll get rid of pain is by pleasing people. If they like me, then I'm good. If I please my job, if I please my boyfriend, if I please my kids, if I just do everything for other people, then people will love me and then I'll be fine. So it creates these people pleasing adaptations. So you can see how they both want to get rid of pain. One is like, I want to prevent pain from happening, which is your managers. The firefighters is like, I want to stop the pain right now that I'm feeling, emotions, thoughts, whatever. And they mean well, but they're not helping. And because the things that they end up having you do always bring negative consequences. The consequences suck booty. The consequences are like gaining weight, getting DUIs, ruining your marriage, cheating, spending too much money, gambling, right? Not getting your work done, putting everybody in front of you, not getting any of your needs met, living a life that everybody else wants you to live instead of what you want to do, overworking, never resting, right? These are all things that will cause you to eventually pop off, burn out, get angry, get mad at everybody, and they never end well. Never. They always have negative consequences. When you do things out of love and peace and just desire, there's never ever any negative consequences. There's always good that comes from it. So this is the second tier in your self-organization, okay? So your employees at the bottom, your managers above them, they protect them. And then next is your C-suite. So this is like, think of like the chief executive officers in an organization, right? This is basically what I call your self-awareness, your awareness. They are always, you have a part of you that's always aware of yourself, hopefully. And this is a part of you that lets you see what is going on in the organization, right? The chief marketing officer manages the marketing department. The chief operations officer manages operations, all the teams, right? The chief financial officer, CFO, manages finances and accounting, right? So there's so many different people in your C-suite, but I call it your awareness. When you have awareness and you're able to see what your managers are doing, oh, that's janky. They're messing us up. They're making us do all this bad stuff. And my employees are just like in pain and are always getting activated. Awareness helps you because you're able to see what's going on. And your C-suite awareness reports to the CEO, which is you, your highest self. Okay, this is you when you're embodying the attributes of the highest self. And this is the ideal. This is like healthy you. This is healed you. This is you knowing all your parts, right? You have access to higher self always. The only reason a lot of people feel like they don't have access to the highest self that can look at the whole organization and understand yourself really well, it's only because you have either manager parts or wounded parts driving your car way more. So self is always living inside of you. This is your higher consciousness. This is the part of you that knows what you want, does what she wants, believes that she's worthy, is connected to God, is connected to wisdom, is connected to everything, like abundance, has money, has everything that it wants, love, everything. So when you're in your higher self, you have connection with yourself, with your awareness, and your awareness helps you see down in your organization and see what parts are what your managers are making you do, all these adaptations, all this coping, all this bad stuff, all this hustling, all this overworking, never resting. And they're doing it because because the parts your employees get activated and they're like, we got to make this part calm down. Okay. Drink some wine, overeat that bag of chips, right? Just tell them that you'll do it. Just say yes. We don't have boundaries, right? No boundaries. Right? Just do whatever they say. But they do that because they're trying to keep these like burdened parts, like picture them like at their desk and they don't want them to come out and act all crazy. They're like trying to keep them in line. But again, they make you do weird things. Like think of an employee that's like, I don't know how to do this job. Like I really want to help my organization start this business, but I'm terrified. It reminds me so much of back then when I started my lemonade stand and nobody came for a week and I was broke and I was tired and I was hungry and it was embarrassing. So now this part of you is trying to start a business because you're smart and your higher self desires to be a coach. And as soon as you start to do it, you're like, oh my God, I'm so scared it's going to happen again. I'm going to fail. And then your manager says, it's okay. You don't have to do it. Just go to sleep, take a nap. And this is one of the ways that your parts, like a firefighter, will soothe you right now, right? You need to start your business. You need to work on your business plan. But as soon as you start thinking about it, it scares you and it reminds you of your past when you got like rejected or you failed at something. And so your parts say, let me shut her. How do I shut her down? Because if she does this, she's going to feel the same pain that she did before. I can't have my employee looking bad because if she looks bad, the manager looks bad. So think about it. The manager's like really self-centered. They're really selfish. And so go take a nap. Go to sleep at your desk. Imagine a manager telling an employee that they could sleep at their desk and not do their job. And let's say that the COO or the freaking CEO walks by and sees an employee sleeping under their desk because like they're scared to do their job. And it's like, no, what do you mean? Like manager, you can't let I hired her to do this like admin task in marketing. Like she's really good at this job. And the manager's like, well, and the manager like covers up for her and covers up for herself, right? Because she doesn't want to look like a bad manager, but she thinks that that's the right way to do it. And think of your awareness tells the CEO, and the CEO should come down and talk to the manager and say, listen, I get that you don't want to look bad because your employee isn't doing their job and you don't want her scared, but the right thing to do isn't to tell her to take a nap. It's help her with the problem she's having and see if she needs any tools or she needs clarity about what needs to happen at our organization. And if it's aligned with our vision and all our values here at the job, and help her do that. And then she can't sleep at the job. Like, she's getting paid 8 hours for 8 hours a day of work. And your higher self always needs to be checking in with your managers to see how they're running the organization, because we know that they're selfish. They do the wrong thing. They tell the clients to do the wrong thing, or the employees. They mean well, but they don't. They tell them to do like the most self-destructive and dysfunctional things because they don't want to look bad as a manager. They want to keep their job. They want to be the protector. They want to get paid well because they get paid a little bit more than the employees, right? But CEO and the C-suite's always coming in to say, dude, remember, like that isn't really helpful. And we always want to be working with the managers to say, what bad habits or what bad managing skills do they have, or what tools do they have, or ideas they have, so that they're not telling the employees to do this janky coping mechanisms or adaptive behaviors or hiding or hustling, because it doesn't align with our bigger goals in our life. We want to be married. We want to start our business. Let's say the business is one of your life purposes, your goals, but you're hiding instead of starting the business. No, that doesn't work. It's not aligned. So you have to check in with your internal system and say, manager, stop telling her to take naps. We're not going to take naps. I get that she's scared. But that's not helpful. And thank you for trying to help, but that's not helpful. So these are some big points that I want you to think about. So hopefully that makes sense. We have employees at the bottom, managers protecting them and managing them. Your C-suite is your awareness, and it's watching the managers and the employees to see how they're working together, and always checking to see that these managers aren't doing this really adaptive, putting out fires and people pleasing and performing and soothing and numbing and distracting. And the CEO always comes in and reminds everybody of the vision. So the CEO is so important. That's you, your higher self. You are always to know, what is my purpose here in my life? What is my goal in life? What is my unique experience that I'm supposed to bring into the world as I live? And it could be anything, guys. It could be just being a manager, being an employee, starting a business, running, being an administrator, starting, doing hair, doing eyelashes, being a video editor. I don't care what it is that you do, right? But you're supposed to do something, or just be a stay-at-home mom and support your husband, or have puppies, and whatever it is, you're supposed to do something, right? And it's about understanding what are the desires of my heart? What is it that I want to do? If I have an interest, then this means it's something that God put in my heart and that I'm supposed to be doing. And how do I do that best? And then always being focused on that, living by a lot of great principles, like the golden rule, like do unto others as you want done unto you. Learning the principle of cause and effect, that if I do this, it's going to affect a change. If I take this action, the next thing's going to follow, right? Good things always happen if I do good things for others, things like that. These are like the values that like the higher self runs off of. And when you're doing that, and you're always checking in with your internal system to see where parts of you are having resistance and they're not wanting to follow, and they're making you get distracted and procrastinating, compare, and do all these things, then you can see how, if you're working with your internal system and recognizing all these things, you can get a lot done. You can stop bad behaviors from happening, and you can start good behaviors to start actually putting into action. And this is a model, you guys, that I have found, especially for myself. I needed to really put it into a structure, a system, or a framework that helped me understand myself, not in like this like esoteric, spiritual, weird like way. I needed to make it more understandable. And I think for a lot of people, a lot of us have jobs, right? A majority of us do. And we understand how organizations work, or for the most part, we do. And I think that if you look at yourself as you have the self-organization of you, like you yourself are an entity, you are a really amazing edifice or business or thing, right? You are the CEO and the highest self of you, right? And you are made up of all these amazing little departments, employees, managers, whatever, all the things. and they all serve a purpose. If everybody does their job, does the thing that they're supposed to do, if we know why they are all here, we know that everybody comes to the business with their own experiences and their beliefs and their own memories and their own ideas and their own belief systems and behaviors and emotions, that when an organization, when every department does its job and every employee in each department does its job, collectively, they make that a beautiful thing, that complexity, right? There's this thing that Dr. Daniel Siegel talks about a lot, and it's like systems theory or differentiation. Everything needs to be independent of each other. Every employee needs to be great at its own task. Like, she's the admin in marketing, and she does the admin in marketing, which helps the other people do their job in marketing. And then because marketing is running great, then operations runs great. Or when operations runs great, it helps accounting run great because it's bringing money in, right? And so on and so on and so on. And when everything runs individually, there's a lot of separation. Everybody does their own thing independent. Collectively, when they come together, they create a great system called you, right? When you know you're made up of all these amazing experiences and past experiences, past relationships, past ideas, memories, belief systems, thoughts, emotions, behaviors. When you know that you're made up of all these things and all of it's great, but they need to be placed in context and in the correct date and logical order, right? Things need to happen in certain ways. And if everybody does its part, if you understand all of it, it creates this beautiful thing called you. It's like an airplane, right? An airplane is made up of so many different parts. I've used this analogy so many times but I think it's so great, is that there's wheels and seats and seatbelts and chairs and windows and steering wheels and steel and glass on an airplane, and everything is great on its own, right? The stairs leading up and to go into the airplane, the doors, right? The seats, the seat belts, the everything. All those things, they're great individually. A chair on its own is great. It serves a purpose. It helps you sit comfortably for a long time. But all those parts together come together and they make the freaking complexity of an amazing airplane that people can sit on and fly through the earth and travel through the world and go from Paris to London to France to Europe to Spain to freaking the US to China. How amazing is it? So you're the same way. You're this complex, amazing thing called you, and you're made up of all these different experiences and these different parts of you. And it's only when you really get really intimate and you know all these different parts of you, when they were created, why they were created, what experiences created them, what belief systems each of these parts of you have, what behaviors it has, what maladaptive behaviors it has, why it tells you to do certain things, what emotions it has. And when you know all these different things about yourself, you have a lot more patience with yourself. What I've learned is that my clients are able to understand themselves better. They're able to say, oh, this part of me, like my 15-year-old part, she tries to run the show a lot when I'm in a relationship because she got her heart broken and cheated on when she was 15. But I have to recognize that, like, she gets activated and I have to tell her, like, calm down. It's 2023. We're not 15 anymore. We're like 35, right? You, like, don't worry. I got you. Like the CEO, like, higher self. I'm a little smarter now. This, whatever happened before isn't going to happen. This is a whole new guy. We can't bring our information with Michael to interfere with freaking Omar, right? That's not fair for Omar. So only when you understand that you're made up of all these different parts that all mean well, that have great intentions, that really love you, that want to keep you safe. They just do things kind of not in the healthiest way, but you always have to be able to have awareness and watch over these parts, and you be the one that, what I say, drives the car in your organization, that leads, right? We don't want an employee saying, we can't do this, CEO. We need to, that your marketing plan sucks. We need to do this. It's like, no. I'm the CEO. I know exactly why all these parts work. This marketing plan is actually really great. Look, this is why, because it's going to give us this, and that. I appreciate your information, but you're bringing in your information from that other job you were at before. When you were 10, it doesn't work here. I know better. This is like a really great organization and it's safe and it's healthy. That wasn't really healthy to do back then. Like, it made sense why you did it then because you needed to, because your uncle was, hurt you. It doesn't work here. This is very different. That's why I created the self-organization model, to help you understand that you're made up of all these different parts. They can even be really conflicting. They may make parts of you that want to go right, parts of you that want to go left, parts of you that want to go up, parts of you that want to go down, parts of you that want to party, parts of you that just want to rest. But it's not letting the wrong parts with the wrong intentions take priority and drive your car, right? They can't run the business. You need to. The CEO needs to. You are your own CEO. You know better. These parts don't know better. You are 20, 30, 40, however old you are listening to this podcast now, watching this video, and you know better than these past parts of you. You have a lot of information, wisdom, experiences, and they mean well, but you have to remind them like, boo, we can't do that here. I get it, but listen to me, watch me, and you're the one who has to set the priorities and the boundaries in your internal system, so that this part of you that wants you to just take a nap for 3 days and not work because it's scared that you're getting bullied at work. I get that. It's scary because this person's mean, but I'm going to take care of you, your higher self, right? CEO. She's going to lead and talk to your boss and talk to the employee and have a conversation so that this part of you doesn't feel scared and has you not working for a couple days, because now you're not going to have money to pay the bills, and you're not going to have money you might lose your job because it looks like job abandonment. Is that what it's called? Something like that, right? I forget what it's called. I haven't been an employee for a while, but something like that, because I know I've been guilty of that. I used to do that. I used to be would get yelled at work. I think that I was a loser. I think I wasn't good enough. I think I was making mistakes, just like my mom and dad used to always say that I used to always make mistakes when I'd spill things and be clumsy and drop things and break things. And my parts used to always get activated at work, and they would say, let's quit. Now that I know that I have a part of me that her adaptive behavior, the way the manager tells that part to feel better is just quit the job. We feel like crap when we go work there. No. There's nothing wrong with the job. There's nothing wrong with the job. Don't worry. Like, it's just that you're human and you make mistakes, and you made the mistake probably because you didn't have all the information or you weren't focused. Like, let's look at why, but we don't need to quit the job. This is a great job, and it's temporary anyway. We're going to do something else in like 10 years, but this is like the job we need in order to get us to the ultimate. We want to be CEO of that company. Let's say you want to run a company. Let's say you want to be an administrator or a manager or whatever. But you have to stay at the job in order to get there, right? And so it's about understanding why your parts do what they do, what information they're using as reason to make you do like this unhealthy behavior, and you being the CEO and guiding them and saying, I see you. It makes sense. I love you, but baby girl, that isn't the thing we're supposed to do. We're actually going to do this. And I get it, but I'm going to take care of you. Let's get through this. We're going to use adult, healthy communication and boundaries and conversations to fix the situation and express our needs and express our fears and express our boundaries. And I'm going to take care of you. And then that part sees that the CEO takes care of things. And it's like, wow, I feel really cared for. Like, I never got that back then. My mom and dad never did that for me. But now you're basically like reparenting yourself in the times that you're being that CEO for your self-organization. And you guys, this creates emotional peace. You heal your past wounds. You are able to take action on the right things. You're able to take priority. You're able to set internal boundaries. You're able to set external boundaries. You're able to have a safer view of the world. It is a game changer. I promise you. And I hope this was helpful. Next week, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about how each of these, like how deeper detail about each of them. Like, I'm going to do an episode on just like your exiles, just your managers, because they're I think the ones that are the most important that we need to focus on is the managers. These are the ones that create all the havoc. The painful parts are such innocent little beautiful parts of you that had disconnection with someone. And those are just so beautiful. But the ones we need to focus on, I think next week we'll focus on managers, because man, they are sneaky. And I'm going to give you guys some great stories. I'm going to give you guys some examples for my clients, from me, and how my managers jacked my life up so much. And now they don't do that. I have so much control over myself, so much management over my behaviors, my thoughts, my emotions. It's a freaking game changer. This ability makes you so resilient, and you're able to handle anything in this world. So I hope you liked this episode. I hope it served you. I know it was kind of long, but if you listen to the end, you are freaking a G. You're such a gangster. Download the PDF. I made it just for you. So click in the show notes and download the PDF. It's so, so great. If you're listening to this on the podcast and you're on the Blooming podcast and you're not subscribed, please subscribe. If this episode served you and if you've never left me a review, it would mean so much to me, guys, if you left a review, even like a 1-sentence review, like, this is cool, I like her, whatever, like, listen, it's whatever, anything. You guys, it helps me so much. It helps my business so much. It helps me reach more people. It helps me serve more people. And it helps me live out my purpose in this world, which is help people heal from their past. If you're watching this on YouTube and you like this episode, subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit like. Hopefully, it's been interesting for you to watch and just learn about this model. Okay. If you want to learn exactly how to use this framework and how I teach my clients all the amazing ways how to use the self-organization model, Bloom is for you. If this spoke to you and you found it really, really helpful, Bloom teaches you how to use I call it the SOM, the self-organization model, times 1,000,000. And Bloom is for you. So click the link below if you want to join Bloom. Click the link that says join Bloom. Want to work with me in Bloom? Click that link. If spots are open, it will lead you to a place to either book a call or watch a video training or whatever it is that we're doing right now. So click the link below to join or get on the wait list. And I invite you if this was helpful for you. Okay. So again, I hope this served you. I hope you got to learn yourself a little bit better. I hope if you have any questions, reach out to me on Instagram, ask me your questions in the DMs. If this helped you, take a screenshot of this podcast episode, please, and share it on Instagram. And that helps me reach more people too. And it helps me serve and help a lot more people that need this work. Okay. So until then, guys, I'll see you next week. Have a good one.